If your circumstances are difficult, sometimes it helps to sleep on it. When you wake up, you'll feel renewed and ready to tackle life's challenges. That's exactly what the marmot does. And his biggest problem is winter. But high-altitude frost is nothing an 8-month nap can't fix in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
Michelle. And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can visit us at our home on the web at lttaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, Jesse Raspolich, Carol Raspolich, Richard Kaspar, Lottie, and Aubrey. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on. And Lottie and Aubrey have given us some animal suggestions. So for patrons out there, we love to hear your animal suggestions. And yeah, it's a perk. Sign up.
Also we found out that you can't. Well, I found out, because people did it, you can become like a free tier patron, which means you don't have to pay any money. And if you want to come over and hang out and give us animal suggestions, that would be fun. And I also post the video episodes of the podcast there.
Yeah, just come and show us that you like us a little bit. I'm just kidding. I know you like us, but just come hang out and. Part of our little community. It's growing.
Yeah. Alrighty. And today, we're talking about some sleepy mountain rodents, but more on that later.
As opposed to Rocky Mountain High.
As opposed to Sleepy Man Banjo Band.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that thing that everybody knows about.
I was not making reference to that, but I was just thinking about it now. But yeah, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the most cowardly mammal in the world, the yellow-bellied marmot. Yeah, yellow-bellied marmot.
And they're not even really yellow-bellied; they're just yellow-chested.
Yeah,
I guess some of them can be yellow-bellied.
And if they're just like sitting there, and they're not standing up.
If you go to Wikipedia, the third picture is him just sitting like a person on a rock, and it's so funny to just look at.
Yeah. With his feet splayed out on a rock on a mountain. It looks dumpy and majestic at the same time.
Speaking of majestic, I saw these little guys
California
in real life. Yeah. Up in Yosemite, there's I forgot the name of the lake, but there's a lake that it's like 2 hours away from the entrance of Yosemite, and it's higher in elevation. And these guys were just chilling, sitting on rocks just like that, and like looking around.
Just playing video games and watching TV, eating Doritos.
If you put a controller in this guy's hand, this one that's sitting on a rock, it would make total sense.
It would make total sense. Definitely a character on a regular show. Yeah, but we're going to... it's also known as the Rock Chuck, which Chuck is definitely the name I would give to this guy that's sitting on a rock.
That is Rock Chuck.
That is... yeah. But we're going to call it here the Burrowers and Chuck Boris. Because they bore down into the ground. I should have done something with cowardice, because they're yellow-bellied, but... It was pressed for time. Came to the nicknames, and thank you to
And we
Diddy
really,
for the Burrowers, because I did not even know what the Borrowers are, which is what the
Really?
play that is. And she was astonished, and said, "Just say the Burrowers. Everyone will know what you mean." I was like, "Okay."
yeah, it's a Miyazaki movie too.
Is
There's
it really?
There's a movie called The Borrowers, which is like a live action with little people in it, like a Thumbelinas.
Yeah.
And then there's also one of the Miyazaki movies. The little people in it are borrowers. I forget which one of the movie is. Which one of the? I forget the name of it.
I don't think I've seen quite a few of the Miyazaki movies, and I don't remember that. So it must have been one of the slice of life ones that didn't really interest me. Let's.
Oh, The Secret World of Arrietty.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. Let's taxonomize this. The marmot. The kingdom. You know it. You love it. You're in it. Animalia. Phylum. Chordata. Class. Mammalia. The order is Rodentia. It's a rodent. The family is Sciuridae. Yep. Sciuridae. The tribe, there's a tribe for this one, is Marmotini, which is made with vodka, marmots, and olive, and it's shaken, not stirred. The genus is Marmota, and the species is Flaviventris. Flaversham.
I love going to brunch and getting endless marmotas.
Do you want a marmota or a marmotini?
I don't really care for gin. I don't know what's in a martini. I thought it was
Maybe
gin.
it is gin. I thought it was vodka. I'm pretty sure it's vodka.
Yeah, it's vodka. I don't like vodka, but I think a mimosa has vodka in it.
Mimosas have champagne in them.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know anything about. I
But
don't know anything about these breakfast cocktails.
I do.
I think martini is like really alcoholic, and you would never really drink it at breakfast.
It's the idea of a martini being a breakfast cocktail. I think it's specifically a high class evening cocktail. Just if you wake up and you have a martini, you have a drinking problem.
But a mimosa is a breakfast cocktail.
Yeah, if you wake up and you have a mimosa, you still have a drinking problem, but it's more socially acceptable. I do love mimosas, just not in the morning, because I love orange juice. Orange
And
juice
you
is
can
great.
make it sparkling.
And so I would be more likely to have a marmota than a marmotini, that's for sure.
Mm.
But the
Probably
binomial
same.
nomenclature for the marmot is the Marmota flaviventris.
That's fun.
Yeah. So since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show, critter groups. We get to do this one again, which is the part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and that question is the same every time. What is the name of a group of this animal, or what is the term of entry, or what is the collective noun? If you saw a group of marmots, which it sounds like you did, what would you call it? Would you say that's A, an aperture of marmots, B, a burrow of marmots, C, a colony of marmots, or D, a dither of marmots?
It's a colony of marmots. Whenever I saw it on the.
You already know.
I was hoping that there was that the Wikipedia page just was calling it a colony, and that there was actually another one. But yeah, there's a lot of colonies of things.
Yeah, when
schools.
I saw it was very prominently displayed, and I was like, maybe he's gonna see it. So when that happens, I probably should just default to. It's another reason why nitty gritty nomenclature is quickly overtaking critter groups as the more practical of the two games.
And it makes it's interesting you learn something, not just something they've made up on Reddit. You know,
it's just so much harder because it's rare that I just oh, translate flaviventris or something, and it's like, oh, it just means this. I have to be like, translate flav, okay? And now there's a transition there, and then entris. How what does that mean? What does that suffix mean? Okay, it means this. Like, I have to put it together, like I'm Indiana Jones.
And it's not even that you can just like get to know one language, because it's multiple languages that they use.
Yeah, and then it's, but yeah, it's definitely more scalable than critter groups. But yeah, a colony of marmots is what you would call a group of them. So, that out of the way, would you like to hear about what it looks like?
I sure would, even though I've seen it in real life.
I know. So this is for the benefit of the listener. It is a large, fat squirrel. End of discussion. Really, that's. I mean that is, you are, if you are imagining a large fat squirrel, you are 95% of the way there.
Take some bushiness out of the tail, and you're good.
Yeah, it has brown and tan fur, and the yellow bellied marmot in particular has not yellow but
blonde,
like blonde, golden fur on its chest and on the front of its legs. It is like a mid-stage Pokemon evolution between a squirrel and a beaver. Like, you would catch a squirrel on Route 1, and then by the time you got to the third gym, you would have a beaver. But in between, you'd have the awkward marmot stage. It has a shorter and less fluffy tail than like a squirrel. Or just... I think it does belong to the same...
ground squirrel family?
Yeah, family is squirrels. Sciuridae.
Sciuridae, yep.
But, yeah, so squirrels have that big fluffy tail that arches back over their back, and this is not the case. It's like you took all the life out of that, and it's just this kind of wet sock attached to its hindquarters, and that's you have the tail of a marmot. And there isn't that much else to say. If you're imagining a large fat squirrel with a wet sock attached to its rear, then you have a marmot in your head. You should see a doctor to have that removed. But I did say it was large. How large is it, Joe?
It's a great question. Welcome to the beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show. The part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also a part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying or tailoring the words Measure Up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We don't have a new Measure Up intro this week, so we're going to get to hear from a marmot. So the if you've seen the screaming marmot meme, where you see a marmot, or like you see something, I think people were calling it like the screaming gopher meme, but it is a marmot that like stands up and like, and there's a mountain vista behind it, and then it just yells like a man. That's the meme. This is what that video sounds like, the real marmot sound.
I haven't seen. I think I've definitely heard the real like screech of the marmot, but I haven't seen whatever videos where it screams like a man.
Yeah, you'll have to look that up, because I could play it, but then it's just gonna sound like a man screaming. You have to see it with a visual. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show. It sounds like a really like...
I absolutely had to take my headphones out for that one. that pierced my core. I hope everybody else is okay.
I can adjust. See, I can't adjust in real time. I don't know what it's going to sound like to you, but I can protect the listener.
Yeah, that was unpleasant.
So before we start getting into Measure Up, Like a couple weeks ago, we heard from Calvin. We played a video of him specifically saying what you said might be the sentiment of the listener, which is that measuring guns is getting old. Let's do something else. And I think he's gonna really like this measure up, and you'll see why soon. All right. Let's talk about length. They're 47 to 68 centimeters, which is 18.5 to 27 inches. How many ultra whistle diameters go into the length of a marmot?
I think you're going to have to go ahead and tell me what an ultra whistle is.
Okay, here's a hint. The ultra whistle was a steam whistle, like the kind used on trains and steamships. And apparently standalone steam whistles would be on like in factories and quarries, if you wanted to make a really loud sound for everyone around to hear, you need a steam whistle. And it was said to be as loud as 124 decibels if you were standing 100 feet away. So that could really damage your hearing if you were right next to it.
There's a really, really, really terrible and silly anime called Bo from the early 2000s. The main character's main attack is called Super Fist of the Nose Hair, but I'm pretty sure if he had a second attack, it would be Ultra Whistle.
I wonder if an Ultra Whistle sounds like a marmot scream. I did this one because I was thinking about how do they make whistle sounds back then? Well, nowadays you honk a car horn and it's like a recording of a horn.
Is it?
But then I'm pretty sure it's not a real horn anymore. But then for some reason it never occurred to me that steam whistles was literally the steam engine on a train and the steam running the steam through the whistle to make the whistle sound. Guess I should have thought of that. But it works because Calvin likes trains.
Oh, and my son likes trains. And so I get to watch trains go by for hours on end.
When you're a little boy, you either like dinosaurs or trains or both.
Well, it kind of graduated over into cars. It's actually starting to like animals now. Every night we go. There's an alphabetically ordered, series of pictures of animals, and he's enjoying naming them all. Except for we get to Q, and it's like, oh look, this is a quokka and a quail and a quetzal, and it's like, okay, Daddy doesn't even know these ones. But also, by the way, a car horn is made using is made electrically by using a thin metal disc and an electromagnet.
What?
And as the electromagnet gets energized, it exerts force on the metal disc, and that somehow creates the sound of the car horn. I am not intelligent enough to explain that any further. But it is not a recording of.
But it's also not a horn.
But it is also not moving air through a space. I
thought it was that old cars have a big bicycle horn on it. Like the kind that you honk the horn, literally. Old
cars have an old man inside each one that says "auga" whenever you push the button.
Oh, that's right.
So
that's true. So I just assume all right, this is going to be a callback. They're just going to record that and put it in the car. I did not think it was magnets and discs. Very interesting. Horns on vehicles are more interesting than you think.
Well, you just never think about it. But I would very much like to replace my car horn with auga now that I'm thinking about it. All right, so how
many... The diameter you're looking for.
Diameter of an ultra whistle. How many marmots go into it?
How many ultra whistles go into a marmot? Diameters.
Okay. I'm gonna say 2, and leave it at that.
Final answer.
Yep.
The correct answer is 1.3, almost just 1.
That is not a nursing
The
school
ultra
victory.
whistle was 20 inches in diameter.
That is an ultra whistle. It's more
Yeah.
ultra than most whistles I've seen, at least.
Is there a recording of an ultra whistle?
Don't play it because my ears can't take another hit. My eardrums have been whistled at by the marmot. So
Nope. YouTube has no idea what I want. It's trying to show me train crashes. So, incorrect. Google was not looking for
train crash.
sadness. I was looking for something interesting. Let's talk about weight. They're between 1.6 and 5.2 kilograms, or 3 pounds 8 ounces, to 11 pounds 7 ounces. It runs the gamut of baby weights.
Yeah, both pretty unhealthy.
Concerning to concerning, for different reasons.
Concerning to devastating. How about that?
So I forgot. I haven't asked the question yet. How many marmots could the Union Pacific Big Boy 4014 pull?
It's a train heavy one.
Yeah.
Big boy. Probably a lot. An engine, I imagine that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Here's a hint. The Big Boy was a type of steam locomotive manufactured by the Union Pacific between 1941 to 1944. They were used all the way up until 1962.
Considering that trains can be like several miles long and all the cars full of stuff and all pulled by one engine, it's a lot.
I think the miles long one, those are more modern. But I guess, yeah.
Up to the 60s, though.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they could have mile-long trains in the 60s.
So what you're really looking for, I guess it's inaccurate to say how many marmots. You're looking for the locomotive tractive weight. So tractive force, which is like pushing and pulling force. So I don't know if I don't know if it means like it can't necessarily pull dead weight a million marmots. You know, it has to be on wheels.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But what if there's like butter underneath it? Because then it can pull a lot more.
A hot buttered marmot.
Yeah. What if it was a million hot buttered marmots? Would you think it could pull that one? Why does it have to be hot? I mean, it has to be hot.
Butter doesn't coagulate.
So you could drop it in your marmotini. The butter. I'm kind of hungry now. Okay, so I don't know. I'm gonna say 100,000 pounds. So 9,000 marmots. 9,000 hot buttered marmots can be hooked up to the back of this engine and pulled up and down the Union Pacific Railroad.
Final answer?
Yeah.
The correct answer is 11,836 marmots.
Huh.
Union Pacific Big Boy 414 is the most powerful steam locomotive with a tractive force of 135,000 pounds.
11,000 what?
836. To
76.
Oof.
If
You're
it,
gonna have to
if
repeat
it-
this course.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this. I already have I just want the credits.
It surprised me that, and I guess it shouldn't have, because all the old cartoons had steam locomotives in it. But they went all the way to the 60s. Like the same year we went to the moon, we were using steam powered trains.
I mean, it just takes a long time to phase that kind of stuff out, especially if it's working fine. But
Especially if it can pull 135,000 pounds.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure there were more diesel trains than steam trains probably around that time. But because it makes more sense. But they still use steam trains today. It's just kind of more of a novelty
Yeah,
because they look cool and sound cool.
they certainly do. But that's all I got for that. Do you have any fast facts before we get into the major fact?
I sure do. The yellow-bellied marmot lives in the western U.S. and southwestern Canada, which is why you saw it, because you were in the western U.S. in
Although,
Yosemite.
if you're looking at the Wikipedia map, it looks like it's not in Yosemite.
Yeah, it looks like it really does not like California, except for like what is that? San Francisco. It just dips right through into San Francisco and doesn't touch the rest of the state. But it does live all over that region. It likes to be pretty high above sea level. It can be found as much as 14,000 feet above sea level. They like valleys, meadows, foothills, not heavily wooded areas in particular. They like to eat grass, grains, leaves, flowers, eggs, insects. They are omnivorous. And they live for about 15 years in the wild. They become sexually mature at 2 years, after which they have their mar mitzvah, and then they can go off and sow their wild oats.
Pretty good. I like Mar Mitzvah.
That's another one I can't take credit for. Maybe did that one. They spend about 80% of their time in their burrows, so it's kind of remarkable that you saw one at all. They live in colonies of about 20 individuals, so they're gregarious, relatively. And they got to keep an eye out for foxes, dogs, coyotes, wolves, and eagles, typical North American predators. And if they do spot danger, they whistle to each other. You know, ultra whistle, apparently, because my ears are still ringing from what you just played to me. But yeah, I'll leave it at that and let you take over the major fact.
Well, I'm calling this major fact Brilliant Burrows. Marmots live in places that are cold and even frozen for long periods. So they spend most of their life sleeping through it. When I saw it in the early summer. And the place we went to was at such an elevation that there was a chill in the air. But they were out and about. They were none the wiser. To them, it was a hot summer, hot marmot summer.
For them, it was a Tuesday.
Yeah, they got out the hot butter. Marmots spend 80% of their lives asleep. And 60% of that is in hibernation. Not 60% of their lives, not 60% of the 80%. To sleep that much, you have to have an excellent bedroom, and they do. Marmots live in daily use burrows that can be 3 feet deep and up to 50 feet long.
Wow.
During the winter, their hibernation burrows can be as deep as 23 feet or 7 meters. You gotta get real. You're digging your way down the mountain, essentially.
Gotta stay warm.
Just kidding. In the spring and summer, they are most active during the day, but they take siestas at noon to avoid the heat of the day. So even when they're active, they're sleeping for a good portion of their 24-hour period. And
I am so jealous.
If you'd like to visit one today, you'll have to come back later. They start to hibernate around September, and they sleep all the way to May.
It's very jealous.
Like, what even is spring at that point? It's summer. Spring is late May, and then it's summer. So why do the males got to get so good at burrowing? Because it's how they woo the ladies. 2-year-old males that emerge from their burrows in the spring immediately start digging their own burrows to prepare for mating season. A great burrow can earn the male marmot many maidens. They mate with 2 or 3 females each year. When the pups reach a year old, the male will vacate the family burrow, but he's not a deadbeat. He's sticking around the area to defend 1 or 2 of the females and their pups. He can't defend all 3 or 4.
So he picks his favorites.
He's got to pick the ones he likes the most.
Picks his favorites like Jacob in the Bible. It's like,
pretty much.
I don't like Rachel.
They call this style of mating, what do they call
Chauvinism?
it? No, it's something like that, though. Harem polygamous mating system.
That's got political correctness written all over it. I love it.
I think it's because harem describes that it's male. The male is the one that...
No, polygamy describes one male and several females, where like polygamy describes one female
That's
and several
right.
males.
True. But I guess there's some that do the opposite, which I don't know how. Because males are generally, and mammals are generally, what should we say, expendable. They're more expendable than females because one male can reproduce with 3 females in a season, but one female can only reproduce with once, So you gotta have the females. Let the males guard the burrow and get taken by the eagles, because we gotta have them females in the burrows protected. Right. So I guess I don't understand the other way around in nature.
Some females can they have like interesting reproductive systems that allow them to I say this tastefully, collect genetic material from various partners and choose which one actually ends up doing the fertilization.
True. If you want to learn more about that, I think we talk about that in the hyena episode. There's very interesting dynamics there. But that's all I got. 23-foot deep burrows.
Of just absolutely chock full of hot buttered marmots.
Exactly.
Yum yum.
Also, 80% asleep. How much of the human life is spent asleep?
Like a third, right? Like 30 something percent.
I guess, yeah, because it's like a third of the day.
Yeah. Right now, that's not the case for
1/3.
me, but it's supposed to be a third. Yeah, imagine. I mean, it's not 80% of the day, right? It's 80% of their lives, or like the year, because they hibernate from September to May, so it's just one giant nap. But it's not like a koala, where it's like when it's active. No, you said it is 60% when it's active. It's still. Or it takes siestas.
60% is in hibernation.
It takes siestas. Well, it's even during when it's not hibernating.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like a
Midday.
like a lion that sleeps like 20 out of 24 hours a day.
No, it's more because the winters are so long up in the mountains.
Yeah, live somewhere else, or live where you are and sleep a lot. I'm down with that. Anything that involves sleeping more just sounds really, really nice. All right, yeah, that's the yellow-bellied marmot. So for you out there in Podcastia, whistle if you hear danger. Sleep as much as you can, and dig a tunnel, dig a tunnel, like the marmot here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
Quick before the wolves come.